It is time for some SBR Roundtable action for Wednesday, June 27th, the great June 27th of the calendar year here. Great date of it in the whole calendar year because it is my birthday. So hopefully a good show. Donnie Rightside, Ian Cameron alongside me. We got MLB action, talking a little Cubs, LA Dodgers. We got CFL, World Cup betting, NFL AFC South preview, plus MACtion. So a good conference there in college football, plus the AFC South. Big man will hopefully be alongside soon. But let's start off with Donnie Rightside at Rightside VP on Twitter. His work at DonnieRightside.com. Donnie, welcome in, buddy.
I mean, I think you nailed it, Drew. By far the best calendar day of the year is June 27th, right in the middle of June. I agree. A lot of good stuff going on. You got soccer up here, 2 games going on as we speak right now. I know it's probably off the hook right now in Costa Rica in anticipation of yet another game, but a lot of fun. I consider myself having a lottery ticket right now. I mean, can you name anybody in the universe last night that hit on the New York Mets losing their last 14 or 15 games at home and getting a walk-off winner? Call me a millionaire today, baby.
Boom. I like it, Donnie. We followed up with a good best bet from you, hopefully at the end of the show. I like it.
Yes.
Ian Cameron, follow him on Twitter, @Babano. His work, sportsmemo.com. Arguably, in my opinion, he is the best CFL handicapper in the world. Ian, welcome in, buddy.
Well, I guess he's not going to join us today.
Ian, I think you're on mute, man.
No, oh, there we go. We're good.
Yeah.
All right, good. Yeah, Drew, I mean, I know what you were trying to do with that intro, and sometimes I know I've been there. You know what you want to say, and the words just don't come out right. And you're going, and it doesn't sound right. But you did a good job, nevertheless. And I feel bad because I'm just seeing in the chat here, Drew, it's your birthday. I've known you longer than anyone on this show, and I didn't even know that. That's a bad job by me. That's a poor job on my part. So happy birthday, Drew. Hope you enjoy it down there in Costa Rica today.
Yeah, thanks, Ian. I mean, we were talking about Costa Rica, watching the game today. Got my jersey on, and I didn't know what to say, but definitely, man, appreciate the birthday wishes, and hopefully, big man will be in just a second. But guys, we got a packed show today. I mean, we got the MACtion, we got AFC South previews, and also want to get some bets in for the MLB card. And we got a big one tonight on the West Coast, the late night action, 9:07, 9:08. We got the Cubs versus the Dodgers. Looking at SBR odds right now, we got Hendricks versus Wood. Wood obviously coming from the left side, commanded a -140-ish price tag, depending where you shop. 7.5 the total. Big ballpark out there, out west, late at night. Donnie, is that affecting the total sitting here at 7.5? Also, would you be looking to bet the Cubs or the Dodgers tonight?
Yeah, it's a big ballpark. I mean, you get that marine layer out there the same way you would look at, the San Diego Padres, big ballpark, not really hitter friendly. Also looking up, way up the coast, both of those ballparks, Oakland and also in San Francisco. Something about that West Coast there, you get that, not a lot of humidity out there. The ball is going to get stuck in the air, which does lead it again. And you're looking at usually good pitching from the frontline staffs of the Los Angeles Dodgers coming into tonight. Last night, if you looked at that game, with the Cubs struggling right now without Chris Bryant, not really a buy-on team for me, but they were getting a nice price with a really good pitcher on the mound last night with John Lester. Woke up in the morning and saw, Baez, who's really hit or miss, because if you watch baseball these days, the swing stays the same, whether you have 1 strike on you, 2 strikes, a 3-0 count, or an 0-2 count. And when he's able to hit for power, which he did last night, a grand slam and another home run, that's going to carry through a nice dog. But just taking a look at the game overall tonight, Chris Bryant goes on the DL for 10 days. I'm still not going to be a buyer on the Chicago Cubs. They did hit well last night. Puig made a huge error, I believe, in the 6th inning last night. If we're going to look between both of these pitchers, I mean, Hendricks leaking a little bit of oil over the last 3 to 4 starts. I'll lay it here with Alex Wood. It's not a heavy price. You're looking at what? -141 at Chris, -140 at Intertops out there. So you're getting under 150. I think the overall better team, again, with Chris Bryant out of the lineup, is the Dodgers. I'll take the Dodgers tonight.
Okay, nice analysis there. Ian, you agree with him? Would you look to lay the -140 price tag with the Dodgers?
Yeah, it's a tricky game for me. I mean, this is one of the ones I didn't get involved with from a betting standpoint. I'll tell you what, right now, I've been actively fading Kyle Hendricks on the road in recent starts, either going against him from a side perspective or betting the over in his road starts, because I don't think he's as effective away from Wrigley Field. And if you look at his career numbers, that backs it up. And this season's numbers as well for Kyle Hendricks back that belief up, that he just struggles a little bit more on the road. His road ERA entering tonight, 4.78, not great. His last outing was in Cincinnati against the Reds, who are suddenly surging 4 runs allowed on 3 hits and 5.2 innings of work in that outing. Labored at St. Louis, got hit around by Cincinnati in a previous start too last month. And he's not pitched deep on the road either. Look at these road starts: 5 innings, 6, 5.2. Going to see a lot of that Cubs bullpen. And I'm not enamored with that middle relief core in the Cubs. So I was leaning Dodgers, but I'm not in love with laying a minus 140 or more with this baseball team. They're very erratic. Their lineup's gone up and down through hot streaks, through cold streaks. They have not really been able to put it together for a very long extended stretch. Wood is good. He has been good the last 2 starts for the Dodgers, and they definitely, obviously, are going to want to bounce back after losing the series opener last night. But I was hoping for a better price than this, so I was leaning Dodgers, but not going to get there.
Okay. And guys, what about fade on or bet on pitchers or teams or both if you want to throw them out there? Donnie, do you have one for the watchers?
Yeah, you know what's interesting? I don't actually have a bet on or fade pitcher, so to speak, but if we just look last night and bet on fade pitchers, I mean, what an interesting matchup last night you had in St. Louis. You know, you had Kluber on one side and then Martinez, who's been getting hammered since coming back on the DL. And what a role reversal last night. You had Martinez get lit in the first inning for 2 runs, and it looks like he was on his way to another 3 1/3, 6 hits, 5 earned runs, and he settles down on the opposite side. You know, Cy Young winner Kluber gets lit in that game. And the only good thing I say about that saving money is I like the fade pitchers in those spots, a la Martinez, but the price wasn't right there. You're looking at Kluber on the road. What was he laying? 170, 175 by the time game time got around. I'm glad it wasn't anybody else where that line might have been like a minus 120 because I would have lost money and faded Martinez. Coming into today, looking at overall teams to back, I mean, if you're not backing right now the Cincinnati Reds, winners of 8 of 9, the most interesting thing about the Reds obviously is the pricing, but that lineup 1 through 8 right now is on fire. It doesn't seem like anybody you match up against them, it doesn't matter. They're going to put up 4, 5, or 6 runs against them, and getting quality starts now out of the guys like Matt Harvey and Tyler Mahle. It's amazing what the Reds are doing, adequately priced, winning right now. They can hit with anybody. As long as you're going to be in the game as an underdog, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th inning where you're in striking distance, 5-4, 4-3, take the dog in those instances. They're pretty live at this point. If we take a look at a fade team, I mean, it doesn't go any further than this. I mean, obviously we can look at the Baltimore Orioles, but it's clearly the Kansas City Royals at this point. They have nothing. They're going to be sellers at the deadline with what they're selling other than Moustakas. I have no idea anymore. No starting pitching, no bullpen, no clutch hitting. That's a bad baseball team, fellas.
Yeah, I agree. That is tough to back them, and I like your bet on team as well. You know, finding plus price teams this time of year could be really profitable in MLB. I like it, Donnie. And Ian, what about you? Any bet on or fade pitchers or teams you want to throw out there?
Yeah, sticking more with teams than pitchers this time around, I was going to use Cincinnati. I totally agree. In fact, I think they're actually worth a look this afternoon with Castillo. Castillo is another one of those arms that he's gotten better as the season has progressed. Newcomb, I'm not really a big Newcomb guy. He's got to do it with smoke and mirrors. He's got to change speeds, mix pitches, work both sides of the plate. I don't think he's I don't think he commands the strike zone all that well at times. I think Cincinnati's a live dog today. Cincinnati's a bet on team for a lot of the reasons Donnie mentioned. Their lineup's hitting. You're getting some of these middling pitchers. Castillo's been better. Tyler Mahle's been better lately. Hell, I saw Matt Harvey last night pitch a great game against a good Atlanta Braves team. So when you're starting to see that, there's something to what the Cincinnati Reds are doing. 8-1 their last 9 games. That's a good bet on team. I got to stick with the obvious, unfortunately, with bet against teams, especially when I'm still seeing them priced the way they are today, priced like competitively. And they still are today. The Baltimore Orioles, my goodness. And the money's coming in on Baltimore again here. What, for the 3rd straight game in this series against Seattle? Like, what are we doing here, folks? Are we the same group of morons and absolute fools that bets the Cleveland Browns every week last 2 years? Or are we the same group that pounds their season win total up every year? We're the same group, apparently, that thinks the Baltimore Orioles are live to win on a daily basis. Well, that ain't me. We took advantage of the line move against Seattle yesterday, with Paxton and the Mariners getting it done for me. And look at this. Wade LeBlanc and Alex Cobb tonight. And we're seeing Seattle open minus 135 down to about minus 110 to minus 112. People are loving Baltimore. They're taking money hand over fist day after day. I don't understand it. What I can tell you is none of that damn money is mine. Not a single penny.
Yeah, I agree, Ian. And Donnie, what is that? Is that just analytics guys seeing a number and their model says something else, so they just bet it? Is in your opinion, is
Yeah,
that what it
it's
is?
one of those things where you have a team that, I mean, I know you can, like Paxton was struggle. If you want to make a case yesterday, let's just say you wanted to be on Baltimore, which I was not on Baltimore. Big Maple out there struggling, left-handed pitcher. They're going to stack right-handed bats. Baltimore's at home. Eventually, they're going to hit. I get it. I actually stole one on Saturday with the Baltimore Orioles at the Atlanta Braves with Dylan Bundy out there, which brings up another point, which made me chuckle this morning. Bundy, who might be their best pitcher at this point, is on the DL for a twisted ankle because he had to run the bases. When are we going to get this through Major League Baseball? Look, I love this strategy of pitchers out there, and you have to, like, when are you going to pull him? When are you going to keep him in the game? But Bundy literally was a station to station runner in that game where guys are driving the ball into the gap where you would easily go first to third, and he's only going to second base. Another single through the line. He walks to third base with one out. You literally would have had to hit a grand slam to get Dylan Bundy home, it seemed like, in that game, and no less he shows up on the DL. But getting back to the original point on the Orioles, it's just taking a plus money, and sometimes people think they can't lose again, can they? Well, they're at home. They're not going to get swept. This is a good spot for them. If you were looking at betting the Orioles today and you're looking at LeBlanc, this is probably the guy you can get to, because outside like Marco Gonzalez and Big Maple out there and Felix is a sort of guy who can maneuver around lineups here. This is probably the guy you can get to. But you're right. I even saw somebody coming up yesterday. They're horrific, units that you're just laying with the Baltimore Orioles when they're plus money dogs. They don't seem to play.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we got Big Man on Campus coming in soon. But guys, also wanted to actually, Ian, we can just get right to you. I mean, 60 seconds, Ian Cameron, north of the border, CFL action this week, week 3 card. One, Ian, I wanted to ask you, do you think like week 3, kind of like college football, how I view it, where weeks 2 through maybe week 7 or 8 are kind of the prime time to get ahead of the market? One, would you agree with that? And also have at it CFL news, notes, betting wise.
Well, the news and notes are the same thing that seems to happen every year in this league in terms of the quarterback injuries. I can't believe it. Like, are we going to get through one CFL season where we have all quarterbacks healthy? We don't have a week where we've got more than one starting quarterback out of the lineup due to injury. Are we ever going to see that? Like, what are we doing here? Do we have a training staff? Do we have a medical team that is capable of getting guys in the right condition, the right shape to get through a full season at the quarterback spot healthy? I'm starting to wonder at this point. But 2 injuries, 2 significant quarterback injuries last week. Zach Collaros of the Saskatchewan Roughriders injured against Ottawa. Early in that game, he's on the 6-game injured list with a head injury. What else is new for Collaros, a guy whose career really has been derailed the last couple of years by injuries? Now Brandon Bridge will be the quarterback for Saskatchewan. The big one was the game I was at with our SBR friend and colleague Gabe Morency on Saturday. Calgary Stampeders, Toronto Argonauts. Ricky Ray injured in that football game, and he was on the field prone, not moving for like 6 minutes straight. It was a scary scene. Couldn't hear a pin drop in the stadium, and he ends up having to go out on a stretcher. Ricky Ray, who's been a tremendous quarterback for well over a decade in this league, Grey Cup champ last year. I was worried that coming back, he could have went out on a high, nearly 40 years old, winning a Grey Cup last year with Toronto. He came back for another year because he knows he could still play if he's healthy, and unfortunately he suffers this injury. Could it be his last game in the CFL? That remains to be seen, but definitely a concern to see Ricky Ray go down like that. It's a very long-term injury. We're talking probably months here. We're wondering if he'll even come back at all this season. That means James Franklin, Missouri Tiger quarterback way back when, he'll become the starting quarterback now for the Toronto Argonauts. So quarterback injuries drew the headline this week in the CFL.
Yeah, and is that the reason the Saturday game's off the board?
Yes, exactly. Collaros injury, they just announced yesterday Bridge is going to be in at least for this week, so that's why they took the Montreal Saskatchewan line down. Although if you know anything about the CFL and have heard any of my shows, 3-down breakdown with Andrew, or any talk I've had on other shows about the CFL, like the Baltimore Orioles in baseball, we were just talking about them. I don't know why you'd want to lay a single penny right now on the Montreal Alouettes. I honestly don't. That is a train wreck. That is a dumpster fire organization. And they could have me suiting up at quarterback for Saskatchewan Saturday night. I don't still know if I'd bet Montreal.
All right, Ian. Well, thanks for that, man. A great week last week in the CFL. We got Big Man on Campus joining us. Better late than never. Follow him on Twitter at Jeff Nadeau. Big Man, good to have you, man. How's it going?
Pretty good, Drew. How are you? Happy birthday.
Hey, thanks, bud. And good to have you aboard. I guess just if you want to do Cliff Notes version of any baseball that
Drew, I'm okay. I think these guys have detailed it quite good. I'm ready for World Cup if you are.
Dude, let's get right into it, man. Costa Rica under what? 2.5 goals today. You like it?
Yeah, I think it's a great bet. I think Costa Rica. I see you have I believe you have a jersey on there. Listen,
Do.
I don't want to. I don't want to. Hurt the feelings of the Costa Ricans down there. I know they're a fan base very passionate, and I respect it a ton. But they're just not a very good side. I don't think they'll score. Unfortunately, they're in a group that's very tough to score on. I mean, Serbia is a good defense. Switzerland defends. Brazil is just so much better than everyone else. They really were thrown into a gauntlet. You got to respect them for getting there, but yeah, I don't think they'll score. So I do think unders are a pretty good bet, but I think the Swiss will take care of business as well. This looks to me like a 2-0 game. Very simple, very easy. Switzerland get in, get out. Costa Rica goes home. Switzerland moves on.
Okay,
I'm
and
watching,
Big
by
Man,
the
just a
way. I got to
question
jump in
for kind of
quickly.
the novice soccer better. When you're betting a total and it says 2.5, what does that
Yeah.
mean exactly?
That means you basically are getting insurance on your 2.5. So if it falls on 2, you get half of your stake. If it falls on 3, you get the full. If you get 3 or more, if you get full stake, you're really just covering yourself on if it would fall 2, you'll get half your stake back. So you're going to get better odds because you're kind of covering that push on 2. If it falls 3 or higher, you're going to get everything.
Okay, all right. Thanks for explaining that. And our producer Johan is saying, Ian, you wanted to say something. And sorry about that. I can only hear like two.
Well,
Go ahead, man.
no, that's all right. Yeah, I was going to say, I got the TV on here, Korea-Germany game, and I'm seeing German. It's like a replay of Saturday. They're dicking around again, this Germany game. Like, Korea's like had all the play in the German zone so far in this soccer match so far. Like, some of these teams that are supposed to be commanding and dominating, and some of the best teams, man, they're struggling and coughing and hacking and wheezing to get by. Here's Germany again off to a slow start today, letting Korea take the play to them. But this is a coach that one time, Joachim Löw, reached down into his pants, touched his ball sack and smelled it. This is a coach we're trying to trust here to do the right thing. I mean, come on here.
Hey, Donnie, so Mexican fans have the best chant in sports, but what is it exactly?
I don't know. I've been hearing a lot of it. I'm not really, again, being Cuban and having, Latin heritage, so to speak, I don't really speak too much English, excuse me, I don't translate very well from Spanish to English. I think Big Man could probably let us know. I believe it's when the goalie or the other team gets a free kick, I guess, or a goalie kick from a 6-yard line. But it seems to me, Jeff, they're getting penalized for this chant. Why is that?
Well, I do know they were penalized, I think $10,000 for a chant that they made. Um, I don't know offhand what it is. I don't ever. I mean, I just kind of listen and I just hear the sounds. I don't really know what they're saying exactly. Um, I don't know. I'd have to look that up. I don't know offhand, Donnie, right? I'd have to look that up.
Yeah, if somebody could translate this for me, I'll do it right now. Oh, puto. What does that mean? I have no idea what that means.
Puto is bitch.
They say that
You
at a lot
seriously
of local Costa Rican games too.
Puto is bitch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe it is as
Thought I
well.
would give a nice little rendition there of Azteca Stadium, Jeff. So.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew.
Oh man! All right, Jeff. Anything else you want to throw out World Cup betting wise?
No, I think it's important, obviously, just understand, the group stages are ending soon. They'll end over the week here. So, come Saturday and Sunday, you're going to start to see. And remember, they're knockout games. There's no more 3 or 4 different games you play. You lose, you're out. That's that simple. So you're going to start seeing a little bit more, obviously we've seen some low scoring games already. I don't think that's going to change here. You're going to start seeing more of those. You're obviously going to have the ability. And this is important. If you're a new bettor, if you're betting soccer in the knockout stages, remember, after 90 minutes, the bet is over. It does not continue unless you bet for it to continue. So if you take a team, let's say Brazil's playing Uruguay, and you take Brazil to win, and it's 0-0 after the 90 minutes, you lose. Okay, to have Brazil, you'd have to take them to qualify in that game. That means at the end of everything, they have the lead. Penalties and extra time would not count in that 90 minutes. So make sure if you're a new soccer bettor and you're betting, after the knockouts or into the knockout stage, you understand that after 90 minutes, if it's a tie, you lose.
Yeah, reading the fine print, knowing the rules is a very important part of betting. And Jeff, just last, but as people start betting more here in the States, as it becomes bigger games, do you suggest any type of bet that people should concentrate on? Maybe just sides, just totals, instead of
Well,
staying away from props, or what do you suggest?
well, listen, I think in the U.S., unfortunately, you're not going to be able to bet a ton. You can only really bet sides, totals, the draw, maybe handicaps. Most of the books, for instance, in Atlantic City or wherever, they're not going to offer you, both teams to score or stuff like that. I would just kind of walk before you run. Obviously, as books, books will start opening up more, and you'll see with the World Cup they start offering more stuff. But I don't know. I would just kind of find and understand what you're betting and do what you feel you're comfortable with. I look, more for everything. I'm kind of an all or whatever better. I'll bet both teams to score. I'll bet, under. I'll bet all sorts of stuff. But just kind of understanding that what the bet is and how it cashes, because that's the biggest thing. Soccer people come to me. "Oh, I don't know what this is." Well, I mean, you lost, or something like that because you didn't, understand it. So, like understanding, Drew, that you can bet a bet called draw no bet, where if you have a side and it's 1-1 and you took draw no bet means you will get your money back on a push. So you're kind of covering yourself in the case that there is a push. It wouldn't be a win, it wouldn't be a loss. You just get your money back. So, those kind of bets are profitable. So just kind of knowing all the different bets is important.
Okay, and we got Ken chiming in, unders in the knockout stage, way to go. Would you agree with that? More defensive play as the
I would
tournament goes
definitely
on?
agree with. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I read a kind of like a little handbook recently on just like a World Cup preview, and it stated that in the knockout stage, and I told Donnie this, I think on average goals in the game are about I think 1.4 per game. So you don't see a ton of goals in those games. So I would definitely be rest assured that if you're going to be betting overs, you have a great knowledge and you have a great feel on it because you don't see a ton of overs over the next couple rounds.
All right, good stuff, man, on the World Cup betting. Guys, if you're liking the content, please give us a thumbs up. And if you could share on your social media outlets, that would be great. Retweeting on Twitter or sharing on Facebook. Get the word out about the Roundtable. We got football action. Let's start off in the college ranks. One of our favorite conferences, the MACtion, the Mid-American College Football Conference. We got Akron winning the East, guys, kind of at a rare 7-7 record last year. 6-3 in conference. They played against Toledo, who went 11-3 overall last year. The Rockets, I believe they lose their quarterback. Donnie, I know you know a lot about the MACtion and Toledo in general. I remember you speaking a lot about them. Anything you want to throw out there, MACtion betting wise?
Yeah, we'll go around the table here. No need to, take up 5 minutes. I know we can spin it around, talk about a few teams out there, but the MAC is fun out there. But keep in mind, folks, the MAC is a lot like Major League Baseball, where you're heading down the stretch in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, comparable to the 4th quarter in the MAC, until it says 0, 0, 0, 0 on the clock. A MAC game is never over, which can be infuriating because this is the conference which I believe you should never punt in, no matter if you're on your own 20 or the opponent's 20, because field position in the MAC, folks, doesn't matter, and that makes it a lot of fun out there. The usual suspects are going to be in there this year. Ohio's going to be playing high. Miami Redhawks I'm high also, but the Northern Illinois Huskies, when you always look at that team, it seems like, Rod Carey, every single year, it doesn't matter who coming back at quarterback, who's coming back at running back on the defensive side. It just seems overall they have the best talent in the MAC each and every year. But again, when you look at Ohio, I think they're going to go deep again, win their conference, and fight for a conference championship once they get to Detroit. But something always clicks like in one game or just doesn't work right. I mean, Rourke's a very good quarterback, a dual threat guy, which is a great advantage to have in MACtion football. But it seems like they're thrown off in that one game. If you remember last year, I joke about, we just talked about Akron there. Cato Kalin at quarterback looked like he was the second coming of Mike Vick and Lamar Jackson in one, and then disappeared off the map for the final 2 to 3 games of the season. You'll get a lot of that in the MAC. When you're betting it also, folks, it's not always the best thing during the game. If your starting quarterback does get injured, half the time the backup is better than the starter is anyway. It's a wild conference, a lot of fun. It's nice to kick it off here with the MAC and go around with the boys on this league.
Yeah. Ian, get in here, man. What are your thoughts on the MAC this year?
Oh, it's an interesting because you've got. I'm looking at teams that lost really, really good quarterbacks. Like I'm talking about quarterbacks that might be even better than you normally see in this conference. Toledo's one. You don't lose a quarterback that's the quality of Logan Woodside in this kind of conference very often. And now you're going to two guys that I think have had one completion between the two. That's not good going into this season. I think from an offensive standpoint, defense should be good for Toledo. Maybe unders under the total game to game with Toledo, because that offense is going to really take a step back, but the defense should be solid. I'm looking at Central Michigan. That's not an average quarterback. Central Michigan has now lost. Shane Morris was good. Shane Morris was at Michigan early in his college football career. So you lose a guy like that, that's going to be a really tough hole to fill for John Bonamego and that Central Michigan team going into this season. So those are two teams I'm a very leery of. Going deep into the depth, I guess, of this conference, going to the bottom, two teams that were miserable, I think one could be better, Ball State. Ball State had a ton of quarterback injuries, ton of injuries on offense overall last season. I think they're going to be better now. They'll be healthier. And I think injuries really sabotaged that football team last year, including Riley Neal, the quarterback, was out for a very long time. I think Ball State's going to be an improved football team. If you're looking for bargain basement buy low opportunities, you're looking at a team like Ball State, I think, here in the MAC this season. How can I not talk about Ohio? Obviously, they're going to be good. They should win their division, if not the conference, because they've got, hailing from Oakville, Ontario, Canada. That's right, not much more than 30 minutes away from me, Nathan Rourke at quarterback, the dual threat. He's a great quarterback. I think he's going to build on that. I like to see him improve in the passing game more, get more accurate. I think that's going to happen this season. So Ohio definitely does look like the team to beat in the MAC East. And Buffalo, is this finally the year Lance Leopold as a team capable of competing? On paper they do, but I've still got questions about whether this coach can get it done.
Yeah, I like your Ball State kind of coming back this year. I have it. I have that circled as well. Riley Neal had a 68% completion percentage before he went down last year. He also started as a freshman and a sophomore, so I believe he'll could be coming back as a senior unless he got a medical redshirt. But big man, I know Ohio Bobcats. Got to tip my hat to you for last year. You called them as a kind of a bet on team. They ended up going 9-4 ATS. Would you look to bet on them again this year? And also, what are your thoughts on the MAC, man?
Yeah, I would definitely. I think Donnie and Ian are on something here. I mean, this is a conference that I've over the years really soured on. I'm just not a big fan of it much anymore. But I do like this Ohio team. Frank Solich is a hell of a coach. You actually haven't had a repeat winner in this conference since 11-12, which is interesting. You've seen a lot of different, teams in this conference play well. But, with Ohio, you bring back Rourke, like Ian said. You bring back A.J. Wallette, who was a big-time bruising running back. Question for this team is going to be on defense. I mean, you lost possibly one of the best linebackers you've ever seen in the MAC, and Quentin Poling last year. I'll be interested to see, because their linebacking core was very good last year. It's probably one of the worst this year. So for me, I'm concerned with Ohio on the defensive end, but offensively they shouldn't have any issues. I'll touch quickly, Drew, on Buffalo. I think Buffalo is a team that I think could be a real sleeper in this conference. Leopold's built it. He's gotten this team to kind of the point where they're decent. They were decent last year. They weren't just a throwaway team. Tyree Jackson's a hell of a quarterback. They have a great receiver in Anthony Johnson, and they have a kid named Khalil Lodge, a linebacker there, kind of in heirs of the old Buffalo player in Khalil Mack. They bring 6 starters back on defense. They'll be better on that side of the football as well. They might be worth a look. Buffalo. I'm not buying into Miami of Ohio. Health was always an issue for them last year. Seems like Chuck Martin's group just is snake bitten. I do like the Ball State call. I like Neal a lot. James Gilbert at running back, and then Northern Illinois. The two best teams in this conference are Ohio and Northern Illinois. They bring back a great defense. The Huskies. Childers a quarterback. For me, I'm looking towards Ohio and Northern Illinois, and I won't say don't sleep on Buffalo.
And why are you leaving Toledo out?
I just think, to me, it's hard to replace a quarterback like Logan Woodside that quick. I would have to obviously, you look at a guy like that. I mean, Donnie, you know how potent Woodside was. He was not only the best quarterback in this conference, but he was among the most efficient quarterbacks in the country. You just can't lose someone like that, and I think expect to compete at such a high level the next year. you ask yourself, do they have a stud running back like they normally do? They've had a couple of those over the last couple of years, and Kareem Hunt, Terry Swanson. They've had some pretty good running backs. I don't know if you have that as well. I'll look more into Toledo. I think they're always a team to keep your eye on, but defensively, we always know they have trouble. So I think you lose a quarterback like Logan Woodside, I'm not as high on it.
Donnie, what are your thoughts on the Rockets and anything else about MACtion? And also, do you know where Logan Woodside's at? Did he make an NFL roster?
Muted, Donnie.
There, I actually have my cough button.
He's on the
for a
bench.
long time. Yeah, no, look, Jeff said he's on the Bengals there. Yeah, no,
Okay.
If we're looking at Toledo as a whole, it's not even close in the MAC. Their wide receivers are unbelievable. It's Cody Thompson, who, if you saw last year versus EMU in a game that actually won, and you never want to really cheer for injuries, but it's nice when the best wide receiver in the conference leaves in the first drive of the football game. I was able to pick up a cover in that one, but he's coming back, and then you have Johnson and Johnson along with them on both sides. That's potent, but you're right. When you lose Logan Woodside, if he was back this year, they would annihilate the MAC conference if they all came back healthy. Running back position, Toledo's built up pretty good. They should be okay. Question mark always going to be on the defense, but if we're looking from a talent standpoint, there's not a single team in the MAC that can compete them with wide receiver. But if we keep on moving down the list, maybe find some deep sleepers in the MAC that you want to take a look at. Jeff doesn't like, Miami of Ohio. They're more built for a Power 5 conference than actually being in the MAC itself. Martin's a very good coach. I always like when you bring back the heady quarterback who's not going to turn the ball over. Solid ground game and a good defense is what they have. But the real deep sleeper here, and you're looking from a couple of years ago, you say, well, how's this team a deep sleeper? We know when Mr. Row Your Boat went to Minnesota that he was going to leave a nice void there. You're not going to have the best recruiting in the world, but he left a treasure trove behind. You're going to get Wassink back at quarterback, but also maybe the best tandem at running back in the conference when you look at it. Bogan and Bellamy back there. You have offensive linemen coming back. But here's the key that you always want to look for, folks, when you're heading down the stretch. If you want a sleeper team, it's always nice when you have Toledo, Ohio, and NIU and play them all at home. Gives you a chance.
Yeah, schedule-wise, it's very important. And go ahead, Ian.
No, I think that was my biggest thing that stood out, and it's quarterback play, because you need it in this conference. Let's be honest, this is not a conference rich in quality defenses. Outside of your Northern Illinois, they had a good defense. There's a couple other teams that should have decent defenses. Buffalo should have a good defense this season. Maybe Akron could as well. Akron had Cato Nelson really come on for them, although as Donnie mentioned, he was a little erratic too. We also had a couple that were a little bit problematic. So a couple of games at the end of the season that were problematic. But Shane Morris and Logan Woodside, why I pointed out Toledo and Central Michigan, because those were two. You're going to get good quarterbacks in the MAC, don't get me wrong, but I think Morris and Woodside were two better than even good MAC quarterbacks. They were great MAC quarterbacks. They're the kind of quarterbacks that this conference doesn't often see regularly. So replacing them, I think, is going to be even more difficult for them than it would be, say, otherwise, than just having, a normal starting quarterback or maybe a lesser starting quarterback leave the team. So that's why I think offensive struggles in particular for Toledo and Central Michigan are going to be there for them this upcoming season.
And Ian, who's your pick to win the conference?
Pick to win the conference. Ohio's the obvious one. Maybe Northern Illinois, just because they got a team that plays some defense, though. I mean, that's what I like. I like these conferences where if I can find a team that's going to play a little bit of defense for me in conferences that you don't always get strong, staunch play on that side of the ball, I'm kind of going to defer to those kind of teams. So I would like Northern Illinois in the West for sure. Ohio in the East, I could see that being your MAC championship game. I like Nathan Rourke. He's my Canadian friend. How can I not root for him? Hopefully a good season for him with the Bobcats.
And Donnie, you think Gus Ragland and company can win the East? And also, who's your pick to win the conference?
Yeah, my picks to win the conference. I mean, we'll stay, status quo. I think Ohio, once it's all said and done, Frank Solich, I mean, they're going to replace, and Jeff's right. They had three of the best overall as a linebacking core of the past. I believe Blair Brown was in there. I can't remember the other guy on the opposite side, but a very, very good linebacking core. They're going to be a little bit raw on defense, but again, they are going to be able to score on offense. Another interesting one that Jeff brought up, and also Ian, watch out for Buffalo, man. If you're going to add a quarterback as good as, what am I listening to the name there? Tyree Jackson, I'm sorry. Coming back, we saw he got hurt with the knee injury. injury. They even had 2 to 3 replacements for him that played well. And let's not forget running back over there. Jonathan Hawkins might be the best in the conference. He was nicked up for most of the year, and maybe the best overall wide receiver along with Thompson out of Toledo that you're going to get back. And if Anthony Johnson, that sounds familiar, yes, that is a cousin of Andre Johnson, and he was awesome last year as well. Watch out for Buffalo because they have the recipe where good luck stopping them on offense with what they have.
Yeah, I want to throw out something quickly about Tyree Jackson. Tyree Jackson to me was 2 years ago. He was one of the worst quarterbacks in FBS.
Yes.
He was awful. He couldn't complete a ball more than 10 or 15 yards down the field. That was one of the more improved quarterbacks last season, Tyree Jackson. I think he can still get better, actually. He missed a couple throws, but he still got much better with the accuracy, much better with his progressions, with his reads, not forcing the ball as much into coverage. I saw a big-time improvement from Tyree Jackson last year before he got injured, and that's another good point. He got injured, and Buffalo showed they had some quarterback depth last season. There were guys that stepped up when Jackson got injured, played well for this team, so they suddenly have some depth at the quarterback spot. Yeah, the pieces are there for Buffalo to do it. I've not been a Leopold guy. I've not been high on this coach from the beginning, but if he's going to do something, it's this season because he's got the team and the athletes to do it.
Yeah, good point there, guys. Especially the backup came in. He was, I believe, 6'6", his height. Tyree Jackson, 6'5".
Yeah, what was he, like 11 touchdowns, 1 pick or something? I mean, he was, I think it was Drew Anderson. What was his name? What was his name?
Yeah,
Drew Anderson.
Yep, that's right. Yep.
He was.
Yeah. I guess the only downside to Buffalo might be, are you a year late? I mean, last year they were 9-3 ATS. They were kind of surprising last year. So just something to think about. But, Big Man, let's get to you. Pick to win the MAC. Also, any thoughts on Buffalo this year?
Oh yeah, I really like Buffalo. If they can figure out a way defensively to kind of keep it going. I mean, they bring, like I said, bring back 6 starters. They have a really good All-American type player in Lodge. I think if they can do well on that side of the football, I think the offense will do their thing. I will say this: first week of the season, Oregon is going to fucking annihilate Bowling Green. I've already laid the 27.5 in that game. They're going to fucking crush Bowling Green. Bowling Green stinks. Yeah, I'm going Ohio. I love Frank Solich. I've been a big Ohio guy. I've always kind of backed that group. I like what they have on the offense. The big thing, obviously, in the MAC is the little things, the trenches. The running back that can pierce you with one. I think they have a lot of the tools. They have a solid quarterback. They're well coached. They're going to be a good team. And Solich's, I think, 14 seasons, he's had 10 winning seasons. So they're going to get to a bowl. The question is, can they win this conference? I think they surely can. For me, it's Ohio or Northern Illinois. Those are the 2 best teams. Sutton Smith is the best defensive player in this conference for Northern Illinois. He'll be a very big problem for a lot of teams in this conference. I'm looking at those 2. I think Buffalo and Ball State will be bits of kind of sleepers. But I'll go chalk, Drew, here with the Bobcats.
Okay, and I
very
like that
quickly,
you brought up
one
the
last
week
thing I got to throw out.
That was a good one there with Oregon. I looked for them to be improved. And guys, what about like 179, 180 Marshall, Miami of Ohio? Donnie, I heard you talking about Miami of Ohio laying 2.5 against Marshall.
Sticks out like a sore thumb. I mean, it's one of the things where you want a coach that's established now. Chuck Martin now has the program under his control. You're bringing back a lot of guys on defense, but also you're bringing back that veteran quarterback there that's going to be at home. That line, immediately when I saw it, was one of those plays that you say, you know what? Just reading lines, that looks like a good one. Their favorite, Miami of Ohio at home. I think they can jump on Marshall game 1 in that one, and we'll see what happens. But you're right. It's a good call by you on that one. That's the one I had circled.
Okay.
I think Donnie.
Oh, go ahead, Big Man.
Yeah, real quick, I just wanted to mention, you look at Miami Ohio, and maybe I'm being a bit hard on them. I mean, the health was a problem last year, but you look at also, I mean, 7 defeats they had, 5 of them were by 8 points or less. So, I mean, they were always in games. They just weren't able to finish. If they can find a way to finish, they'll be I think they'll be pretty solid. They have a good defense, and they play a bit different. Ian mentioned most of these teams don't have a good defense. They do. If they could turn away and find a way to win close games, they'll be a factor. But I'm a big Marshall guy, so it's hard for me to go against Marshall in that one. I think defensively Marshall's going to be quite good. That's a good under game there. Great under game. I think that's a 21-17 type of game.
Yep.
Okay, fair enough. And Ian, our producer Johan said you were talking when I was talking. Sorry, man. Costa Rica can only hear 2 guys. Go ahead, man.
That's okay. No problem. I want to bring up this team though quickly because this is fascinating. I can't wait to see. This could be a disaster waiting to happen. We all know Kent State last year. You could give the ball to them at the 1-yard line, they'd find a way not to score. That's the kind of season they had last year. Well, here we go. They said we've had enough of this. No team has scored fewer points in the MAC in the last 4 seasons combined than Kent State.
Ian, no.
They're bringing in Sean Lewis, Dino Babers' assistant, Dino Babers' disciple, Syracuse and Bowling Green. They're going to try to go fast, up tempo with this Kent State offense. That to me sounds like, with no skill position talent, with new quarterbacks being brought into the program, with an offensive line that has 2 returning starters and an offensive line that's been utter shit for the last couple of years, and this is expected to work, my goodness, this could be a train wreck waiting to just crash right off the tracks. Should be fun to watch.
I remember, Drew, do you remember last year when we were doing that Campus Connection show, we talked about this, and I remember telling you, you can institute any offense you want. If you do not have the players to run the offense, it's not going to work. It just isn't. Donnie knows that. Ian knows that. I don't care what you have, what offense you run. If you don't have the offense, it's just going to be a mess. It always is. I mean, you have to work on that for months. People have to understand where they have to be. They have to be down the field. It's so difficult at the college level, especially at Kent State. Yeah, I agree with Ian on that one. That is going to be quite a mess.
Yeah, I agree, guys.
And even if the offense struggles, I think Kent State's still going to be an over the total team. Why? Because even if the offense struggles with this, it's going to be 3-and-out punt, 3-and-out punt, 3-and-out punt.
Yeah.
The defense gets tired because you're going fast-paced offense. You're snapping the ball quickly. They're going to get worn out. They're going to get tired, and the other team will hang 40, 45 points on you. So they could still be an over the total team.
Guys, good MACtion talk. Do we have? Can we do the AFC South in 10 minutes? What do you think?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we could brush over it. Sure.
All right, let's do it. AFC South, Jacksonville won it last year, 10 wins, 6 losses. Let's see, went 8-8 over under, 9-7 ATS. Jacksonville Jaguars. Do you look for them to repeat as the champions, Donnie? Go ahead, man.
I like the Jacksonville Jaguars. And what's not to like about the Jackson Jaguars, except I know we can punch holes and we can pin cushion their quarterback till the day we die. I get all that. But they're solid up front. If they just stick to the scheme, that old Tom Coughlin way, hand the football off and play really good defense, they're going to be a formidable opponent again. They should have been in the Super Bowl playing against the Philadelphia Eagles last year. Just let one slip away in New England, which is always a tough place to play. But when you're looking at these teams that are coming off the highs and the emotional, wins of last year and moving forward to this year, a lot of expectations. There's no question about it. Their front seven is outrageous, and they probably have the best defensive backs, cornerback-wise, in the National Football League with Boye and Ramsey back there. But the one thing I want to key on is I like the way they open their schedule, because we all know if you don't have a hangover from last year and you get after it the next year, that momentum will build as the season goes on and takes the pressure away from saying, you know what, hey, we opened up 1-3 or 1-2. Boy, we really need to win. If you look at the favorable schedule, open up against the Giants, should be a victory there. But the key is you get New England in that rematch. You get them home, and you're going to be out for blood. Then you have Tennessee at home and the Jets at home. That's a quick 4-0 to me for the Jacksonville Jaguars to open up the season. If you're going to repeat, you need a fast start. That schedule says fast start to me.
All right, Ian, do you have anything quickly on the Jags?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very friendly schedule to Jacksonville in the month of September. There's no question about that. And the regular season, they should be fine. They've still got a very good defense. It's going to be, if they're a playoff team again this season, do they only have a certain ceiling with Blake Bortles? That's what it's going to come down to in the end. We saw it last year. They beat a Buffalo team with a very suspect offense, no skill position talent, a weak offensive line, an okay quarterback in Taylor. But when it went up against New England, that's when they fell down, couldn't beat the Patriots, and the defense struggled to stop a good offense. So I think Jacksonville's going to be good again, but there's a ceiling for them as far as I'm concerned, as long as Bortles is there.
Okay, fair enough. And Big Man, do you think Bortles gets too much criticism, or do you think the Jags can win the division again?
No, I think he gets I think he gets enough criticism. That's he should be getting criticism. That's the unfortunate part, Donnie, about this team. They are very good, really everywhere else, but they just don't have a very good quarterback, and that's kind of a shame. Because I think with the quarterback, think if Deshaun Watson was on the Jag, or something. I mean,
yeah. Take a look at one game last year. Look at the first playoff game versus the Buffalo Bills. Blake Bortles out there. We could have got out there and played a better game for him, and they still ended up winning that game. That's how good that defense is. Jeff's right, though. I mean, if you get a competent quarterback that can move the offense, hell, put Case Keenum on that team, and they probably make a run right back to the Super Bowl.
And that's kind of the irritating thing about Jacksonville. I mean, it doesn't seem like they see the writing on the wall with Bortles. I mean, I don't know how many interceptions and turnovers you can have before you say, you know what, maybe we're on to something here. Maybe you're not. Let's even just bring someone in to challenge you. to see if maybe they can take the job. I'm just irritated with that, and I think in the NFL, quarterbacks are obviously everything. Um, I guess last year, it didn't really matter for the Eagles. They just put someone in and it worked. But that's not going to work really ever. I like the Jags. They have a better schedule than the Texans. The Texans' schedule is just crushingly difficult. So I'm very high on Houston. I want to make that clear. I think Houston's going to be very good, but the Jags' schedule is solid. I think they're I don't know, probably an 11-5 football team.
All right, Tennessee Titans 9-7 last year, 6-2 at home, 8-7-1 against the spread, 9-7 towards the over. Ian, anything on the Titans, real quick?
I've got a buy sign on this team actually, and it's for one reason. I look for teams that were horribly undercoached a season ago that changed the coach, and I think they're going to be coached a lot better. That's Tennessee. No more Mike Mularkey. He's out of there. A terrible offensive mind as well, and Robisky's out of there. You know how much I hated that team from an offensive coaching standpoint last year. They were terrible. Mike Vrabel, I know he's a good rookie head coach. Not never sure how that's going to go all the time, but it went well with Sean McVay last year. So let's remember, it can work for a rookie head coach in that first season. And they've got Mike LaFleur. Speaking of McVay, they bring him over, offensive coordinator, to Tennessee, and look what he did with that Rams offense and Jared Goff last year in tandem with McVay. So this is going to allow, I think, Mariota to take off, have a better season. He's going to be just scheming and game planning on the offensive side of the football is going to be much better for Tennessee this season. I've still got questions about their defense. It helps having Vrabel there to maybe help ease that transition. They're going to have to get better on that side of the ball. I think they'll be scoring more points this season. It's about whether that defense can come around. But I like Tennessee. I think they're a bit of a bet on team, and I think over the total game to game might be a good way to bet them this season as well.
Yeah, the former Heisman Trophy winner took a step forward last year. Donnie, any thoughts on the Titans this year?
Yeah, I like the Titans. I mean, I'm a big Marcus Mariota guy. You have a big physical offensive line. The one thing I actually did think that was smart, they got rid of their head coach. I like the new direction, maybe add a little bit of life into the offense, but also losing DeMarco Murray out there. The guy just slowed down. Henry's the true lead back there. Get out of the way, give this man the football, and sit back and watch. Good at tight end out there, good at wide receiver, and I like the pickups. The little guys like, the Malcolm Butlers there to maybe shore up that defensive end with a Dory Jackson on the back end. I like this team, and also when you take a look at scheduling, which again, it's key in the NFL, it's key anywhere, where you're going to play and how you're going to play. If you can just hang in there for the Tennessee Titans, finishing those final 5 games, you get the Jets at home. Who knows what they're going to be? You have the Jacksonville Jaguars in a big game, but it's a Thursday night, and we all know the detriment of going on the road on a Thursday night to try to win, especially in division. At the New York Giants, home to Washington, and home to Indy to end the season. You could easily see them go 4-1, maybe a 5-0 to finish and rev up for the playoffs there. They did win a playoff game last year on the road in a tough environment. That always bodes well for the next year coming in. Like the coaching change, like the football team overall.
Great points, Donnie. And they did go 5-1 against other AFC South opponents last year. Yep. Bodes well going into this year. Big man on campus. Any follow-up on the Titans?
Yeah, I mean, you could make the point with this division, with Andrew Luck coming back, this might be the best division in football. I mean, this is a very good division. All these teams, obviously without, other than Indy, probably a playoff team. Yeah, Tennessee, I really like what they did in the offseason. They had a pretty good draft. They also went out and, like the guy said, bring in Butler. You bring in Benny Logan to shore up the defensive line. You kind of picked up people that you needed to pick up. You needed to shore up your defense a little bit. You went out and did that. You got rid of the mess at coach. So, yeah, I think they're a playoff team as well. I'm not going to take up too much time here. They kind of said most of my points. But, yeah, I like Tennessee. They're another team that I think we have to keep in that playoff conversation. Good division here.
All right, big man. Well, you bring up Andrew Luck. Indianapolis Colts only went 4-12 last year, 8-8 ATS, however, and 6-10 towards the under. Any thoughts on the Colts and Andrew Luck?
Well, look, obviously, if Andrew Luck's in there, they're an improved football team. I mean, they go out and add a little bit on the offensive side. You still wonder what they're going to do with the running game. This is still a team just. You have a lot of young players. I mean, can Marlon Mack be a starting running back in this league? Can a running back in Naheem Hines come in and from NC State and be a good they don't have a great run game. I mean, which is a concern when you have a guy like Luck because you don't really have anything to fall back on there. I think defensively they're slowly improving. They went out and kind of they're starting to try to fix their secondary a little bit. You obviously get Malik Hooker, and you go out and pick up some players in the secondary. But I still think in this division they're the worst team. I mean, they have a lot to really improve on. Who knows when Andrew Luck will play again? And like I said, there's no real running game here. I just don't think they're a very good team, really. They're going to have a better offensive line, which is good with Quentin Nelson. He might have been the best overall player at his position in the draft, but I don't see it really with the Colts. They have a lot to still improve on.
And Donnie, what are you thinking about Indy this year?
Let's keep it quick here with the Colts. Not really too happy on what they have with defense. Love the draft pick to bulk up on guard, but let's be serious. Your quarterback hasn't thrown a pass in a full year. He's out right now. It's what, June 27th. He has a high school football in his hand and is not allowed to throw any more than a check down into the flat. Yeah, I'm off Indianapolis. This is a train wreck waiting to happen.
Yeah, it reminds me of a pitcher with elbow or shoulder issues. But anyway, Bobano, have at it, man.
Yeah, we're tight for time, so it's basically, okay, Andrew Luck will make them a little bit more competitive, but I don't like the O-line. I'm not in love with the depth of skill position talent. I don't like the defense. I got to pick one team in this competitive division to be poor. For me, it's got to be Indy.
Okay, and yeah, tight on time. So we'll get to Houston right here. 4-12 last year, 7-9 ATS, 7-9 towards the under. Couldn't win at home, couldn't win away. 1-7 on the road. Ian, real quick on Houston.
By the way, a pity on Frank Reich. I mean, obviously Donnie and Big Man know him well with the Philadelphia Eagles on Peterson's staff, and now he's got to try to clean up the mess that is the Indianapolis Colts. But we wish him all the best with that. Houston Texans, I'm telling you what, Deshaun Watson being back makes a whole world of difference for this football team, and he is the reason Bill O'Brien is still employed by the Houston Texans. He gave Bill O'Brien a vote of confidence. He says, I want to play for him. I want to play in this offense. And I think that is what saved Bill O'Brien from maybe being ousted after last season. I really, truly believe that. They're giving Bill O'Brien a chance to get Watson in there as his quarterback and do something with him. The offense should be good. I think the defense, though, for the first time in years with Houston, could be down a bit. I think they're going to have to score more in order to win games, but they have Watson back, should be able to do that, like the weapons they have. They're an over-the-total team for me week to week. We've looked at Houston as an under team for years. I think this is the year they flip the script, change their spots, a little weaker on defense, better on offense. Finally, a quarterback that I have some confidence in over the total week to week with the Houston Texans. I think there'll be value to bet that.
Chris Lomas saying he can confirm that Luck can make 5-yard passes. So, Donnie, anything on Houston here?
Yeah, real quick with Houston. I like the addition of Honey Badger. I think they have to get a little bit more athletic in the secondary there. God's gift to this earth. J.J. Watt coming back off the nastiest injuries. I mean, who knows? Maybe he'll lose a leg in football season, but a week later they'll show him running the 40 with a prosthetic leg. Maybe he can come back from that as well. But just keeping it short here, Bill O'Brien, one of the worst coaches in the National Football League, 31-33 with an amazing amount of talent over the past couple of years, can't get it done. He picks the quarterbacks there. He makes disastrous decisions, lucked out by actually putting Watson in when he didn't start him last year. I think it's going to be a rough stretch to start the season because, again, when you're looking up at New England, at Tennessee, they open up 0-2. He's, again, back on the hot seat and trying to make some mix-match changes up there. I do like the future for Watson at quarterback. I just don't know if it's this year or with Bill O'Brien.
All right, and got about a minute left. Big man, any thoughts on Houston? Also, throw out your best bet for us.
Yeah, I think they win the Super Bowl.
Who?
Houston.
Cool. Or is that your best bet too?
Wow.
No, that's not my best bet, but I'm very high on Houston. The only thing that'll hold them back is their schedule. If they can find a way to win some of these games, they're going to get to the playoffs. Just what can they do after that? It's all going to be about health. I think on the surface, I think they can be a Super Bowl team, but the big concern is the schedule. It's very tough. I mean, throughout the year. I mean, you're playing literally every tough team in the NFL. But I'll cut it down. I know we got to sign off here. For me, I'll go quickly here. I'll just throw out what I'm on today. I don't mind talking about it. I'm on Switzerland. I think they take care of business here against Costa Rica. Costa Rica is just a side that I think is ready to head on home. They'll give a concerted effort here. I just think the Swiss, they just don't lose matches. I think they have plenty to play for in this one. I'll look to Switzerland to get the job done. As far as though you're going to have to play it a little bit different way, I'll go. The number that I got's not available anymore. you're going to have to look for Switzerland win to nil. It's a 2.3, so plus 130. Switzerland win to nil. That means they win and do not give up a goal. I think this is a 2-0 match.
Okay, so what's the price on that?
Plus 130 at Bet365.
Switzerland plus 130. What's the wording?
Switzerland win to nil plus 130.
Win to nil. All right, plus 130. Donnie, real quick, best bets.
Real quick, 905, 906. Complete fade of Wai-Yin Chen. I know Robbie Ray's coming back. You don't want to usually do that or put him right back in there. I think he's going to give 4 or 5 decent innings, but this is a complete fade over Wai-Yin Chen. First 5 innings run line, Arizona Diamondbacks minus a half run, minus 115 at 5 dimes. Just a fade of Chen. He is awful.
I like it. And Ian Cameron had a winner last week. What do you got for best bets, man?
Yeah, 2 lefties that the last month on paper, they look like they pitched pretty well. I think there's some regression coming, and I think it happens tonight with San Diego, Texas. I think San Diego's going to hit Mike Minor. I think Texas is going to hit Clayton Richard. They're both better teams against the lefty pitching. Both bullpens are a little taxed. Neither starter went deep last night in the game. I think we're going to get runs down there in Arlington tonight. We'll go San Diego, Texas over 9.5, minus 120 for best bet this week.
All right, thanks guys for being quick. I'll also be Switzerland and Costa Rica under 2, under 2.5. Big Man explained that earlier in the show, what it exactly means. I'm going on the under in that. For Donnie, Ian, Big Man on Campus, I am Drew Martin. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next Wednesday, same time, same place. Best of luck, guys.
Thank you.